Good morning. I am happy to be here today with Kroger CEO Rodney McMullen. Rodney has been a lifelong Kroger employee, starting in college and working his way from accounting supervisor in the corporate office to now the CEO spot, and of course holding many other roles along the way. Rodney was named the Cincinnati Business Courier CEO of the Year in 2020, a very challenging year for many, so hopefully that award means even more to Rodney. Rodney, welcome with us today.
Thanks so much, and hi everyone out there, and really appreciate the award last year and the recognition, but that is really recognition for 500,000 people. I just get to represent everyone.
Well, thank you so much for giving us the time today. I know even today, through the year and a half that we've had, it's still a very busy and challenging time for us. So thank you for giving us the time. We're going to jump right into a couple questions, Rodney. Our first question is, what would you say has been your biggest success at the Kroger company?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Last night I was having dinner with a group of people and somebody asked me the same question. And I'm going to give an answer that probably it's like, well, he really hasn't answered the question because, to me, I think one of the things that's incredibly important for any leader is to look forward as opposed to what you've accomplished. And, if you look at for Kroger, our aspiration and objective is when people think food, they think Kroger, and for all of America. And making sure that we help make somebody's day a little happier. Our purpose is to feed the human spirit. So everything that we do is really looking forward and how do we continue to improve to make it easy for the customer to engage with us any way they want to, whether that's online, pickup, delivery, in-store, and then help feed the human spirit. So, we really do spend all our energy looking forward versus in the past. I'm sure at some point I will reflect on some of the things that I've been part of. One of the things I love about Kroger is incredible on giving you responsibility regardless of your age. And I remember the very first time I did a presentation to our board of directors, I was 25 years old. And and then when I was 27, I had the opportunity to do numerous presentations. I remember when I worked in a store, when I was 19 years old, I would close the store on a Saturday night and open it up on Sunday morning. And no one at Kroger ever said, you can't do that because you're too young. And to me, that is incredibly important, and it helps build responsibility. It also helps build your confidence. And it also, it caused me to fall in love with the company because I love food, I love people. And, when somebody gives you that kind of responsibility, it's just really gives you an opportunity to continue to grow.
Did you ever see yourself, when you took that corporate role in the accounting department, did you ever see that you would be here your entire life?
I never really, to me, it's a great question, and I never really thought about it. And when I'm with our interns and our new hires, a lot of times people will ask me, why have you stayed at the same company for over 40 years? That just isn't the cool thing to do in today's society. And I always tell them, I said, well, first of all, I understand the question and understand why you would ask the question, but I haven't had the same job. And the person that was my mentor, who I interviewed with out of graduate school, that ended up becoming my mentor, and I ended up replacing him when he retired as chief financial officer of the company. I remember when I was interviewing with him, and at the end of the interview, he said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Well, how do you think about career planning, and what kind of career advice would you have for somebody, that's just starting out?" And he goes, "Oh, career planning is way overrated." I just fundamentally believe that you need to work at a company that's honest and ethical, work with people that you enjoy working with because you're going to be with them more times than you will at your own family, and make sure that you have a job that you're learning every day, you're uncomfortable, but you continue to grow. And I remember the person that was my best friend then, who is now my wife, after I finished, it's like, that's going to be my career philosophy. It worked for him, and I'm going to go with it. And I've only made one modification to it over the years, and that's actively solicit and use feedback. We try to do that as a company. I also would recommend any executive, any person, actively engage and solicit feedback.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, so I've never ever thought about, what's my next job or any job at all. It's always been against those standards, and it's obviously worked out incredibly well.
Oh, great. Well, obviously, if I ask about successes, I also have to come back and ask about struggles. What would you see as your largest struggle that you've dealt with during the last 7 years as CEO?
Well, it's one of those things where I always think it's important to remember that you're partnering. For Kroger, we have about 500,000 associates. So you're partnering with 500,000 people. So when you think about a struggle, it's really how do you partner with everybody? Because I always believe together you can accomplish anything. And my mother always would tell me growing up, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct. And I think it's incredibly important to depend on each other and to operate as a team. Now, things I would say it more in terms of things I worry about versus things I struggle with. You're always worrying about how do you help grow and support the next generation of leaders. Are you recruiting? Are you developing internally the talent that will lead this company, for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Those kind of things, because the only thing I know for sure is people will continue to eat. How they will eat will change numerous times. And how are we helping grow that next generation of leader so they can see around the corner? But regardless, the customer is always the center of everything they do, and our associates are critical partners in that process. So I don't think about it as a struggle. I think about it more in terms of what do you worry about? Yeah. And, we also have, 500,000 people depending on us for a job, a career, and their families, which is, when you look at together, that's over 1 million people. And making sure that we're developing a business model that's sustainable today, but more importantly, in 5 and 10 years will be sustainable as well.
And I'm sure that's never been as relevant as it's been this last 16 months, worrying about your employees, because your employees were there all through the pandemic. So it wasn't like they could work from home and ring up groceries from home or anywhere along the back rooms there. So I'm sure that was very relevant this past 16, 17 months.
Yeah, I am just so proud of our whole team. And every time I'm in front of our associates, one-on-one or a major group, I always tell them two things. One, I never ever dreamed that COVID would last as long as it has. Two, I am massively proud of the whole team and what they were able to accomplish and the agility that they made changes, we did over 30 changes to keep people safe. The things that our supply chain teams did and our manufacturing teams and our stores and offices did literally overnight to keep our stores in stock, to pivot for products you could find because there were some things you just couldn't find. And I tell our teams I would have never ever been greedy enough to ask for as much as what they've delivered. And to me, it's just incredibly proud. And doing it and keeping our customers safe and our associates safe as well.
Yeah. Well, I commend you for all the work as well as your employees. If there was one thing you wish you had known before going into this role, what would it have been?
To me, it's the right question and a great question. And when I was, as you were asking and thinking about it, it reminded me of how incredibly fortunate I was with my predecessor, who was doing things to help develop me for this role even when I didn't realize it. Moving me to different jobs, giving me different responsibilities. And even the predecessor before him, putting me in front of the board to make presentations, things like that. So, the advice that I would give to anybody, and when my predecessor was Dave Dillon, and when Dave retired, I told Dave, I can never ever repay you for what you have done for me, and I hope the only way I can ever repay you is doing what you did for me for my successor. And if I think about the things that I wish I would have known, it's really pretty small in the scheme of things. Because Dave, Joe Pickler, and our board had done such a great job of giving me such a broad exposure to the company, broad exposure to people, and probably the area that I would say that I wish I would have invested more time in is understanding technology, at even what technology can help you achieve versus technology just to run your daily business. And if I look at Yale, who runs our technology today, and his team, that's probably one of the biggest areas of change, is because they're really looking at technology in terms of what can it do to help make our associates' job easier and our customers engaging with us easier.
Great answer. Now, I know that you spent much of your youth on a farm in Kentucky, and you've quoted several times, I've seen you quoted several times, that your parents treated you as an equal and that they put their trust in you from a very early age. How important is it to you as a CEO to have trust in your executive team?
Oh, to me, it's just massively important. I can't imagine working with a group of people where you don't trust somebody, because it's hard enough to as a team to lead a company and try to make sure you're positioning the company to be successful in 5 and 10 years. And if you're around people that you don't trust, you just think about the energy that gets spent on thinking about that trust element and thinking about the past. And to me, I just can't imagine working with people that you don't respect as an equal and you don't trust. And I always say, when you look at those kind of things, life's too short to work around people that you don't love working with. And you can't love working with somebody that you don't trust. And you're trying to solve things that haven't been solved before. And you really do have to work as one, and all of you have to lean in. And I just think it's incredibly difficult if you're like, well, why did they say that? Or that doesn't make sense, or I think they insulted me. You just have to trust that the person has the right intentions, and sometimes they may say it a little wrong.
And that's got to go both ways too. You have to be able to build with your executives that they can trust you, right? How important is that?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And you got to walk the talk. And the other thing, and it's always how do you make sure you create an environment where it's comfortable to give you feedback, even when it's feedback that's difficult for you to hear. And I always tell our teams, when you give me feedback that I need to hear, and if I don't ever make you feel comfortable when you give it to me, just tell me, because we cannot become who we need to become as a company if I'm not being treated just like the team, and we're all looking forward and trying to accomplish something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, great. Well, I think it's interesting. Most people may not know this, but your and my life have followed somewhat along the same path, except for the part of me not running a Fortune 500 company. We both spent much of our childhood in Kentucky on farms. We both supported our education by working at Kroger in college at the University of Kentucky. So I want to ask you a question about the university. How much of your success do you think came from your background, the way you were raised, your parents, the trust, versus your education?
Yeah, that question I really, really love. And a couple of years ago, I was on UK's campus and had the opportunity to share a little bit about who I am. And on your question, who I am today is a reflection of a puzzle of people, experiences, and without all those experiences and all those people, the puzzle wouldn't be complete. So, obviously you talked about earlier, my parents were an incredibly important part of that. Growing up on a farm, having responsibility at an early age where you had to feed an animal to make sure it stayed alive, all those things. The University of Kentucky was the first time that I really got broad exposure to people with backgrounds totally different than mine from all across the world. And, it really did, for me, it caused me to develop the love of learning as opposed to thinking you know it all. And, today it's, if you look at throughout a career, it's incredibly important to continue learning and what's next. So I think about my wife and all the things that she's done for me. And one of the things when I had a chance to spend the time at the class at UK, and I was going through all the people that caused me to be who I am. And to me, it's without all those pieces, I just wouldn't be a complete person. And, the experience at UK, I wouldn't give up for anything. And a couple of years ago when I was there, and I told them the UK gave me the confidence to, in my job, you're dealing with people every day that has, a Harvard MBA and Yale MBAs and, University of Chicago and, the best schools across the world. And I've never, ever felt like UK didn't do as good a job preparing me to be ready for the world as those schools did for those individuals as well.
Yeah, I think I could agree with you more. Growing up on a farm, I felt like I had a very strong work ethic instilled in me at a young age. And then when I was in college and working at Kroger, I'll never forget, and I'll give you this real short story. It was Easter weekend. It was the week of Easter, and my frontline manager at Kroger basically threatened all of us, you better not call in sick this weekend. Busiest weekend, long. Well, I break my arm the Thursday night, Holy Thursday. I break my arm. I come to work that next morning in a cast, and she's like, what are you doing here? You have a broken arm? I'm like, you threatened me. I couldn't miss work. But you're right. I think all those experiences together build who you are, and it obviously shows today. A couple more questions, but next up, competition for you guys has changed obviously over the years from, local grocers, regional grocers, now concepts like Walmart, Amazon, Costco, and on, delivery agents competing with you. How do you feel about the future of Kroger right now?
I have never been more excited and more excited for our associates and our customers because, one of the things that competition does is it makes you run a better company and give a better experience for the customer. So the customer wins because they're going to be able to get food they love, incredibly fresh, and in multiple ways in terms of delivery. And if you look at the things that we've put in place over the last several years and the things that are coming, those are things that I know will create a company that's better tomorrow than today, and our customers will have a better experience and our associates will continue to have great job opportunities because most of our leadership team, 70% of our store directors came to Kroger as an hourly associate. And I always like to talk about people come for a job and make it a career. And I can't be more excited about the future and the importance of food. And one of the things from a pandemic standpoint, people, I would say it was a great reminder of how important your families are to each of us and how important food is on sharing that family time. And both of those things are something that is dear to Kroger and something that we're good at as well.
Excellent. So glad to hear that. Final question for you. If today, it's not, but if it was the last day in your role as CEO, what advice would you give the guy replacing you?
Well, it really gets back to accumulation and I know on my successor planning list, there's men and women both. And right. One of the things that we're incredibly proud of is the diversity that we have on all our teams, our board, and all those things. From an advice standpoint, I would say, first of all, never, ever get comfortable. Two, don't ever get too emotionally high or too emotionally low. You have to be incredibly even-keeled. 3, never stop learning. Continually think about how will the customer want to engage with Kroger, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What are the key leverage points? Obviously our associates, none of it happens without our associates. But technology, the use of data, all of those things will give the customer a better experience. But to me, it's incredibly important to continue to look forward in terms of where's the customer headed, where are associates headed, and how do you make sure you're delivering an experience that's different. We call it a competitive moat. So like fresh product, we have a competitive moat versus our competitors. How do you make sure you continue to grow that and continue to make it convenient and easy? And to me, those are the things that are critical, and looking forward is absolutely critical for all of us.
Yeah, that's another great answer, Rodney. I have to agree with you. And I would like to kind of go on record as saying how impressed I am with the leadership and the diversity and inclusion that Kroger has shown. As you may know, the Courier has a Women Who Mean Business Award. We've been doing this for 5 years, and each year we honor 10 women who have become leaders in the region. And I know at least 3 of those years we've had a Kroger female in that list. Kate Ward, who runs the personal finance division, Monica Carnes, who used to be here, I think now is running one of your divisions, and then Colleen Lindholtz from I think the Kroger Health or the drug area. So I think it's just a prime example of putting saying what you mean and then doing it. So congratulations to you for that.
Thank you, and really on behalf of our 500,000 associates, it's been an honor to have the conversation today, and just so proud of everything that everybody's getting done.
Well, thank you. Thank you once again for being here today. Thank you for everything you and your company have done. I can't tell you how lucky Cincinnati is to have Kroger here in our own backyard. So thank you very much, and have a great day, Rodney.
Thank you, and have a great day as well.